Hi everyone, this is Ugo Cei of Ugo Cei Photography. Today I want to give you a quick demonstration of a feature that was recently introduced in Lightroom. We're talking here about Lightroom Classic, that is the version that comes with the Creative Cloud subscription. So if you're a Creative Cloud subscriber, you can update your version of Lightroom and you will have this new feature. And the feature adds a new possibility to the way we use filters. There are various types of filters in Lightroom that you can use to apply adjustments to selected areas of your photos. For example, you have the gradient filter, the radial filter. There's also the brush, and this feature also applies to the adjustment brush, where you can paint over an image and apply adjustments to the areas that you are painting over. Now, sometimes when you have complicated areas like in this image here that I took in Scotland almost a year ago, where you have the sky, and I want to change the sky a bit, but I have this tree protruding above the horizon, and I don't want my changes to apply to the tree as well. So I need to be careful. And you can use Photoshop, of course. You can use selections and masks to maybe even luminance masks to select out the tree or the sky. But with these features, new characteristics of Lightroom, for this specific operation, sometimes you don't even have to go to Photoshop. Even you're not expert at using Photoshop or you don't have Photoshop. You can do it all in Lightroom for an even larger set of situations. So let's look at this image. This is an image that is already the result of an HDR process. I was shooting against the sun and everything on the ground was in the shade, so it was very dark. There was a lot of contrast in the scene, so I decided to do a bracketing and do an HDR. So I did the HDR in Lightroom, and then I did some initial processing. I wanted the ground to look, the green to look warm, and I wanted it to look to have some detail. The original scene had so much contrast that everything on the ground was very dark. Now, even after my initial adjustments, I can see that this photo still has some issues. One issue is due to the fact that I tried to make the grass warmer, not look it like an electric blue-green color. And this meant that also the sky became warm. It's too warm for my tastes. I want it to be bluer. And also the sky is a little bit too bright. I want a bit more dark, the sky to be a little darker, to be more balanced with the ground. And also this tree here on the right was basically backlit. So all its backside that we're looking at was very much in the shade and it's very dark. So one thing that I could start doing is painting with the adjustment brush on the tree to make it brighter, and I will do so by increasing the shadows. So let's select the brush here and bring up the shadows by quite some amount. And here I'm using a flow maybe of around 50, and I'm just going to paint over it. Now, 58 plus 58 on the shadows, it's too much. I can take it down a little bit later. Okay, I went a little bit overboard in this section here. I can type the O key to see where my mask is and then select erase from the panel here on the right and erase where I was a little bit too eager and did too much. But you can see if I go back to painting, maybe I can try using a smaller brush and I want to paint on the edges here. It's really hard to, this is very fine. The details on the leaves there at the edge of the tree are very fine. Even if I have the auto mask feature on, it's bound to spill onto the sky and create halos, right? So let me remove the overlay. And there will be some halos. 58 is probably too much. I'm going to take it down a little bit. I want to see some detail, but I want to don't want the tree to look like it was lit by another light source. So to me, this is good. I also wanted to make it a little bit warmer, the color, just a tad. This was shot in the fall, so fall colors look great. So this kind of work, it's a bit of a quick job, but I'm doing it for demonstration purposes. I could do a more thorough job if I had more time. So this takes care of the tree. And now I want to take care of the sky. So for that, I'm going to use the gradient filter. And I'm going to put the shadows down a little bit, but especially put the highlights down and make the temperature cooler, like minus 37 here. Now I'm going to draw my filter on the sky. Okay, so this is the sky as I would like it to look like. Oh, good, except that now my tree, the bottom part of the tree, has a nice warm color and it's as bright as I'd like. The top part of the tree is too dark because I decreased the highlights and the shadows also a little bit. And the color is cooler, the green is cooler than the bottom part. So you can see like the tree has two parts, one where it is below the horizon has a certain qualities and the one that is above the horizon has different qualities. So I could create another brush and paint again here, but there's now with the masking features on the gradient filter, I don't have to do that. So let's go back to the filter and select it by selecting the little pin there. Okay, and I want to avoid the filter to apply to the greens, and maybe also to the oranges here. I want also the filter only to apply to the blues. So I can, you see there's a range mask control here at the bottom of the filter section. And I can, it's normally off, but I can select color. And when I select color, I have this picker here, and I can use the picker to click on a color that I would like to be included in the filter. So you see how it immediately changed the way it works. It has selected the blues, but it has not selected the greens in the tree here, and it has not selected the oranges. Let me show you the difference. I'm going to, from range mask off, which was this one, to range mask color. You see, again, off and color. And all the oranges and the greens are not affected by this anymore. I can fine-tune this by using the amount slider. If I want to include more of the colors that are closer to the color that I picked, or fewer. I'm trying to find a balance that looks good to darken some of the clouds that have a mixture of blues and oranges and so on. So to me, this looks quite good. Okay, now let's go back to my brush. And what I want to do with the brush is to control any possible spill from the tree onto the sky. And this is hard to do because of all those little details at the edge of the tree. You can see if I zoom in, there's a lot of little needles, pine needles there. And so my filter, my brush could spill onto the sky, and I want to avoid that. So one way to do is to use the range mask. And I can use the luminance mask to only select those range of tones, in this case dark tones, because they match the tree is darker than the sky, and have a very fine control of where my brush is applied and where it is not. So let's go back to the brush and select it, and you see where it is applied. Now if I wanted, I'm just turning the overlay on and just trying to make a better job of including possibly everything to avoid any dark edges. But now, of course, if I go all the way to the edge, it's going to spill onto the sky. Here I was, and I want to avoid that. So let's take the overlay off, and in order to control this very precisely, I'm going to turn on the luminance range mask. And I'm going to use the picker again to select maybe this dark area here, and then turn on the display of the luminance mask with this little checkbox here. And it's telling me that this is where my filter is applied. And I can paint to make sure that it's applied everywhere in the area of the leaves. And you can see it here that using the picker, it automatically selected the range from 0 to 21. It means all the tones that are darker than 21% of the total brightness, from black to white, are included in the mask. I can see what happens at the edge here by zooming in, and I can see that there are some areas that are dark, but if I paint, I can include them by painting, and it's still not spilling onto the sky because the sky is much brighter than 21%. So I can go over the edge without caring too much of where I'm going, and this is just going to include all these little very fine edges in the brush, in the mask of the brush. You see it's not including where the sky is showing through. I can even maybe try to refine the range so that I include more, again without spilling on the sky. This part here, the edges are dark. And if the edges are not included, I mean, they will look like black edges in my photo when they don't really look good. Right? Okay, so let's zoom out again, remove the display of the luminance mask, and I can even zoom in again, and I have my tree brightened without impacting the sky, without creating black lines or halos. Okay, that concludes my demonstration. I hope you appreciate it. If you want to find more tutorials by myself, but my colleagues at Visual Wilderness, you can either go to my website at ucphoto.me or to visualwilderness.com. Thanks for watching.